Good morning, I'm Praram with the Hal. Let's begin with the main stories. Nepal and China to build a bilateral mechanism to implement large-scale infrastructure projects. Agreement to be forged during Prime Minister Oli's China visit. Four people who had gone missing at the Arun 3rd Hyderabad project site rescued safely after almost 40 hours. US First Lady Melania Trump calls for an end to the policy of separating parents and children illegally entering the country from Mexico, says it is ridiculous to see children separated from their families. And Mexico shocked defending world champions Germany 1-0. Switzerland hold Brazil at 1-0, while Serbia defeat Costa Rica 1-0 at the FIFA World Cup 2018. Let us now begin with the national political updates. 2 days ahead of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's China visit, the government started a process to establish a bilateral mechanism to implement the agreements forged between the two countries and to move ahead with big projects. The mechanism will help implement the previous agreements and help take big infrastructure projects, including railways and roadways, to the construction stage. The cabinet meeting held yesterday decided to start the process to establish a bilateral mechanism to implement the agreements forged between Nepal and China. Prime Minister Oli, who is leaving for Beijing this coming Tuesday on his China visit, will be aiming to sign new agreements and encourage investments on infrastructure development. Agreements are also slated to be forged on increasing industrial capacity, energy support and construction of cross-border transmission line. Analysts suggest that the visit should also focus on complete implementation of the agreements relating to China's Belt and Road Initiative and other bilateral agreements reached during previous visits. The government is preparing to undergo constitution amendment after the upcoming state visit of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to China. The move is being made to address the demands of Sanghiya Samajwadi Forum and Rashtriya Janata Party. Prime Minister and co-chairman of Nepal Communist Party, KP Sharma Oli, made the announcement at the party's standing committee meeting yesterday. Both Sanghiya Samajwadi Forum and Rashtriya Janata Party have been demanding for the amendment in the National Charter regarding the issues of provincial demarcation, citizenship and language. Sanghiya Samajwadi Forum joined the government following agreement to revise the statute based on the need and significance on the 28th of May. Both the parties have demanded that the federal parliament should approve provincial delineation after majority endorsement by provincial assemblies. Likewise, they have called for the amendment in the provisions related to provincial autonomy and citizenship. The government has 2/3 majority in the federal parliament that is required for constitution amendment. The government and the Madhya-centric parties, however, are yet to hold discussion on the specific articles that should be revised. It is now time for a short break, but for more news, do stay with us. The four people who had gone missing after a huge mass of earth caved in at Numko, Faisan, the tunnel site of the Arun 3rd Hyderabad project, were rescued safely after almost 40 hours yesterday. The tunnel was shut by the soil while removing debris after carrying out explosion in the project site. The mud mound caved in and swept away the workers along with a dozer at around 8:40 p.m. last Friday. And yesterday we asked the locals in Hetauda, Butwal and Dhangadi regarding the sales of plastic bags across the nation despite the ban imposed by the law. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
प्रयोग गरेमा चाहिँ जरिमाना भन्ने पनि कसैले पनि गर्दैन, त्यसकारणले सरकारले नै लुज छोड्नु भएको छ। कडा गर्नुस्, हामी तपाई सबैले छोड्छौं।
चेतनाको कमी र अर्को चाहिँ फितलो प्रशासन र राष्ट्रले प्लास्टिकको सट्टामा अरु के प्रयोग गर्यो भन्ने पनि यसमा यकिन नदिएको हुनाले पनि यसलाई चाहिँ अलिकति बढी चाहिँ वातावरणमा प्रदूषण भइरहेको पाइएको छ।
प्लास्टिकले विभिन्न किसिमका वायु प्रदूषण गर्दछ र यो कुरा सम्पूर्ण जनताहरूलाई सिकाउनु पर्यो।
प्लास्टिकको झोलाहरू लिएर हिँड्नुहुन्छ, उहाँहरूलाई पनि चाहिँ जरिवाना लगायो भने मात्रै चाहिँ यो चाहिँ प्लास्टिक चाहिँ निषेध गर्न सकिन्छ।
स्थानीय सरकारले चाँडोभन्दा चाँडो यो नियन्त्रणका लागि उसले आफ्नो पहल चाल्नुपर्छ।
Preparation is underway to seek the support of the Chinese government for oil storage during the upcoming state visit of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to the northern neighbor. In this context, the Supply Ministry has proposed the Foreign Ministry to construct depots of aviation fuel in Nuakots Bhattar, Gorkha's Abu Khaireni and Bhairawa. 3 years ago, the then government, led by KP Sharma Oli himself, had pledged to import 30% of fuel from China during the border blockade imposed by India. Some trucks of fuel were brought in then as well as a symbolic protest against the border blockade. However, the Oli-led government is prioritizing China's support in improving storage facility and capacity of oil more than the import. Time now for the international news. US First Lady Melania Trump has called for an end to the policy of separating parents and children illegally entering the country from Mexico. In a rare statement on a policy issue, First Lady Melania Trump weighed in through her spokeswoman on the immigration crisis taking place at America's borders. Her spokeswoman said that the First Lady believes the US needs to be a country that follows all laws, but also a country that governs with heart. First Lady said that it is ridiculous to see children separated from their families and hopes both sides of the aisle can finally come together to achieve successful immigration reform. Our comments follow the growing controversy over President Donald Trump's zero-tolerance policy. In a recent 6-week period, there were nearly 2,000 family separations. Adults who tried to cross the border, many planning to seek asylum, are placed in custody and face criminal prosecution for illegal entry. As a result, hundreds of minors are now being housed in detention centers and kept away from their parents, a policy which rights groups have criticized as unprecedented. We've got more news coming up, but right now it is time for yet another short break. Construction works of the 45-kilometer main canal of the National Pride project, Sikta Irrigation, has been concluded, however, remains to be brought into operation. With the canal yet to begin functioning, farmers in the area are compelled to depend on rainfall for irrigation. The canal was built at an investment of 14 billion rupees for the irrigation of 43,000 hectares of land. Despite the assurances of releasing water in the canal for the past 5 years, the canal remains dry. Farmers near the canal are compelled to depend on rainwater for irrigation. The project had the final target of releasing water for the farmers by mid-June. However, water has not been released in the canal under various pretexts, including lack of sanitation and delay in completion of other required infrastructures. The canal was damaged when water was released in the 3rd week of June in 2017. The canal, which is supposed to bear 50 cubic flow rate of water, was damaged when water was released at only 25 cubic. Farmers have alleged the project of delaying the water release because of the risk of possible damages. Delay in operation of the canal proves that the allegations made by the farmers are true. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why has the water supply from Sikta Irrigation project not been started despite the construction of its main canal? Your options are A, to conceal weakness during construction, and B, apathy towards farmers. The voting is on. You can type NEWS, select your option A or B, and then send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for some sports news.
Sports news.
Considered firm contenders of the FIFA World Cup 2018, Brazil have been held at a 1-1 draw by Switzerland in their first match of the tournament. Brazil failed to secure a win at their first match of the World Cup for the first time since 1978. Five-time world champions, Brazil led early in the first half of the match. Felipe Coutinho of Barcelona curled in from outside the box to put the Selecao up front. However, an unmarked Stephen Zuber equalized for Switzerland 5 minutes into the second half. Despite efforts from Brazil to secure the 3 points, the Swiss defense and their goalkeeper denied any chances. With 55% possession in the Group E match, Brazil fired a total of 21 shots, of which 5 were on target. In another Group E match played yesterday, Serbia secured a 1-0 victory over Costa Rica. Alexander Kolarov scored a stunner from a free kick on the 56th minute to ensure a win for Serbia, which returned to the World Cup after 8 years.
Free kick taken on the right.
Defending world champions Germany have been stunned 1-0 by Mexico. Mexico registered an impressive victory over Germany with a solitary goal from Rodrigo Lozano. Lozano converted a Javier Hernandez assist on the 35th minute of the first half, which was largely dominated by Mexico. Before beating the German goalkeeper Manuel Neuer, Lozano had dribbled past Mesut Ozil. The German play was largely danced around Toni Kroos. Guillermo Ochoa had saved one of his free kicks in the match. Young stars of Joachim Löw, including Joshua Kimmich and Timo Werner, were not as effective as expected in the match. Around 27 shots of Germany were denied by the Mexican defense line. It was the first loss in the opening match of the World Cup for Germany since 1982. 39-year-old Rafael Marquez of Mexico was introduced as a substitute in the second half, became the only third player to feature at a personal fifth World Cup. Meanwhile, today's fixtures at the FIFA World Cup 2018 see Sweden take on South Korea at 5:45 p.m. Nepali time. Belgium plays against Panama at 8:45 p.m. while the late night kickoff at 11:45 p.m. is scheduled between Tunisia and England. Now coming back to another World Cup match, a curling free kick from Serbian captain Alexander Kolarov in the 56th minute secured a 1-0 victory for Serbia over Costa Rica in the opening World Cup Group E match in the Samara Arena earlier yesterday. The defender struck the ball over the wall with his left foot and into the top right corner of the net, past an outstretched Keylor Navas to break the stalemate after an evenly matched first half. Costa Rica, that reached the quarterfinals in 2014, struggled to make chances for an equalizer as Serbia shut down their forays and came close to scoring again several times. 5 times world champions Brazil will take on Switzerland. In fact, they took on Switzerland last night in the second Group E match. And now, before we wrap up, here's a look at the top stories one more time. Nepal and China to build a bilateral mechanism to implement large-scale infrastructure projects. Agreement to be forged during Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's China visit. 4 people who had gone missing at the Arun 3rd hydropower project site rescued safely after almost 40 hours. US First Lady Melania Trump calls for an end to the policy of separating parents and children illegally entering the country from Mexico. Says it is ridiculous to see children separated from their families. And Mexico shocked defending world champions Germany 1-0, Switzerland hold Brazil at 1-0, while Serbia defeat Costa Rica 1-0 at the FIFA World Cup 2018. That is all for the moment. Our next English bulletin will air at 11 a.m. Keep watching Kantipur Television SD for more news, entertainment and updates on the FIFA World Cup 2018 in Russia. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead.